for
This
giving me a
conference
chance
will
to
now
share
be
my views
recorded.
and thoughts. And this is the topic which we are going to discuss today is basically becoming the harsh reality of today's world of work. And not only in the world of work, stress is something, this word in itself is potential enough to generate too much amount of anxiety, too much amount of panic. Even if one is not feeling stressed, by listening this thing, by learning about others that they are under stress, we feel problem. Somehow we have developed acceptance that 21st century is the era of stress. So what happens when we feel stressed? We feel like this, either we feel like frustrated or we feel like drained. But what is the possibility? Is it something which we have to accept and live with, or there is any possibility about this to mitigate it or to lessen the negative impact of stress? Yes, there is. So today I'm here to discuss the problems and possibilities with stress and whatever is possible. So by and large, the average person doesn't like changes because change tends to disrupt one's comfort zone and bring stress. What happens, we are living a mechanical life, so we have developed the way of working and living. So there's a set pattern, we behave like that, we proceed like that. But whenever there is a change brings certain demands to adjust, certain demands to accommodate, certain new things should be there, certain earlier things should be let go. But all these adjustments and adaptation, they bring stress. So we feel stress. Some changes are pleasant for us, some changes are unpleasant for us, some changes are small, some changes are big. But the thing is that change is the only constant thing. So it simply conclude that stress will be there. Since changes will be there, stress will be there. So stress arises when individual perceive that whatever change is there, and because of the change, you know uh, they cannot adequately cope with the demands being met on them or with threats of their well-being. So change will be there, and if change is there, there will be certain demands. And if at all a person concludes that whatever is the demand of the situation, I cannot cope up with the available amount of or the quality of resources I have, then the person feels threatened, then the person feels that my well-being is in danger. है ना? Then that kind of disturbance, that kind of pressure, that kind of trauma, that kind of threat or danger, that is basically stress. So the experience of perceived threat, that is a very important thing. Perceived threat, this threat may be real or imagined, and believe me, your body doesn't bifurcate between real threat and imagined threat. So whether the stress is real, whether the situation is really dangerous, or you are perceiving it's more demanding or more dangerous, your body, the reaction of stress is not differentiating between whether it is real or it is imagined. And that is a very important point from a psychological perspective. So if it is real, then definitely the certain issues should be resolved or certain resources should be developed. But what if it is perceived? What if it is perceived? So the experience of a perceived threat, whether it is real or imagined, to one's mental, physical, or spiritual well-being, resulting from a series of physiological responses and adaptations. So life is there, changes are there, demands will be there. If demands are there and they are out of the proportion of resources I have, I will feel stressed. What happens when I feel that demand is too huge in context to the resource I have? So naturally, we have a fight or flight response. So we try to fight with the stressor, we try to manage the resources, or we develop a flight response. Sometimes, fight or flight response is not able to serve, so we have to design responses. So as soon as you feel stress or one feels stress, the stress response becomes activated in all types of threats, whether it is mental threat, emotional threat, spiritual threat, real threat, imagined threat, not just only physical intimidations. So, and what happens when you realize that there is a huge demand, when you feel under huge amount of pressure? This leads to activation of nearly every physiological system in the body for the prevention of movement and energy production. So we have heard about steroids in doping cases in terms of sports. The similar nature of changes are taking place when we feel stressed. So our body have, hormonal system, glandular system. So as soon as we feel that the demand is too much, our body, the adrenal gland particularly, starts secreting corticosteroids. What these corticosteroids does, these corticosteroids actually puts our body with on maximum working and functioning possibility. So just like a bike running on full throttle, uh, almost all the organs, all the functions, all the systems of our body are trying to perform their best just to fight against the demand. But we know that you cannot run any machine with its fullest possibility for for a prolonged period of time. You have to give some rest, and if you are not going to give the rest, the machine will collapse. And simply that analogy is applicable in context to human being. These corticosteroids, they prepare our body to fight against stress for a longer period of time, but just like machine, it is not possible for human body even to fight against that stress with fullest possibility for infinite time. So you can see over the screen that almost all the systems, whether it is smallest thing, that is secretion of saliva or skin, heart, stomach, muscles, blood vessels, bowel, lungs, eyes, everything, every system, every organ is functioning more than the normal. So that homeostasis level is disturbed as soon as you get uh, confronted with stress. So this is problematic. But whether all kinds of stress are problematic, all kinds of stress are problematic, here comes the understanding that no. So to the disbelief of some that all stress are bad for you, as a psychologist, I'm telling some amount of stress is required. Some amount of stress is required. Suppose that you are supposed to present the report of this of all these sessions which you will be attending. You will feel little amount of stress. If at all you are not feeling little amount of stress, you won't feel that push, the motivation to prepare best, the motivation to present best, just before examination, just before joining, just before promotion, immediately after marriage, or getting your office changed, or getting transferred from one place to another place, or having a baby in your family. All these changes, these are changes because you have to live in a different way, you have to perform in a different way, you have to work and manage in a different way. So these are changes, but these changes comes with certain demands to adopt with. So but these changes, once you feel little amount of stress, you start preparing yourself, suppose that you are a lady, and your delivery dates are due, and doctor has said that you are supposed to come tomorrow for a cesarean or something like that. You have a little amount of stress, so you will prepare all the things which you need. So these are the simple examples that when mediocre amount of optimum amount of stress is there, you feel like working, you feel like preparing, you feel like doing, you feel like performing your best. So this mild or optimum amount of stress is required. It required, and it gives you a push to perform your best. So to perform your best, you need optimum amount of stress, and that technically that optimum amount of stress is known as eustress. We call it as a good stress. Second kind of stress, that is new stress. New stress is a relatively new term introduced, that something which is stressful for somebody else, which is happening at a distant place, may not be stressful for you, like things are there in Sudan or Syria. That might not be stressing for you, so it is new stress, it is neutral stress. The problematic aspect of stress, about which everybody is having a negative opinion, that is bad stress, technically called as distress. So this distress is having two qualities, and on the basis of these two qualities, it is classified into two types. First is acute stress, and second is chronic stress. So these are the two qualities of negative stress. If the amount of stress is too much, it is too much for you to cope up with, sudden accident, that and it bring too much demand to cope up. So this is acute stress. This may be for a limited period of time, but even after, giving exposure for a limited period of time, this amount of stress is too huge, and in proportionate the demand is too huge, so that it disturbs your life just like that. So this is acute stress. The another is chronic stress. Most of the person are actually exposed to chronic stress. Some of us face acute stress as well, that huge amount of stress, but most of us are exposed to chronic stress. Small amount of stress, it is there, present more or less all the time. If at all small problems are there, one problem is going, another is coming, another change is there, third kind of demand is there. So small demand is persistent, whether they are different, but they are persistent. Or there is one small thing and you are suffering from that small thing continuously, and work stress is one of its example, chronic stress. So this distress, bad stress, whether it is acute stress or chronic stress, this is the cause of most of the health problems, including mental health and spiritual health. So what happens when you are exposed to stress? What happens once this fight or flight response has begun, and your body is started fighting against stress? You will be able to absorb lots of changes, lots of disturbances, whether those changes and disturbances are related to emotional symptoms or physical symptoms or behavioral symptoms or cognitive symptoms. So there are lots of changes. Small things are starting happening. So if, uh, from your headache or nausea or sleep disturbances or fatigue, these small changes. But you will be, if you are getting affected with stress, you will be able to feel that even if it is not disastrous, I am not happy with this. And small physical issues, emotional issues, you are feeling irritated, you are feeling isolated, you are feeling overwhelmed, you are feeling that my patience is getting lower day by day, I'm feeling low, I am not feeling like going out and mingling with people. Things which you were comfortable doing earlier, small things, cognitive task, attending to something or concentrating and worrying, so those things starts appearing. Behavioral changes, your expressions are changed and people can observe that. you know so you start showing nervous responses like nail biting or something like that. You start depending upon different kinds of drugs, and that is I think the most, one of the most dangerous aspects of effects of distress. So several physiological adaptations occur as a result of repeated exposure to stress, and these adaptations that have pathological repercussions are called as general adaptation syndrome. So hence Selig gave this model, and the simple understanding about this model is as soon as we get exposed, our body receives a shock. So the normal level of functioning is getting disturbed, and you feel that there is a you, and this you tells that you are suffering. This you tells that you are suffering. So our homeostasis is getting down, getting low, and we feel shocked. But there's a tendency, in the evolutionary development, we have developed lot of courage, lot of fighting spirit. So the body starts fighting against that stress, and then slowly and gradually it starts covering the that low level. And since demand is there, since stress is there, so body will keep pushing you with the help of hyper functioning of your bodily systems and organs. So you will be able to see that there is a rise above the level of homeostasis. Now this inverted u is coming into scenario. So you start pushing yourself. If you are not feeling energetic, you are not feeling like working, you are not feeling like interested, you are not feeling that I don't want to do anything, I'm already overwhelmed, but you will push yourself, you will try your level hard. And what is happening when you are pushing? Your systems are pushing, your organs are pushing, your functions are pushing you as a system. So they are functioning their best, and you will go little more than your normal capacity of working. But as I have discussed earlier, it is not possible for anybody to function with the maximum possibility for a prolonged period of time. It is not possible. It is risky, it is dangerous. And when you reach at the peak of this inverted U, that is the maximum possibility in context to time and capacity. So now you are giving up and your body starts giving up. So then you will observe there is a downfall in the graph. There's a downfall in the graph, and that is called as stage of exhaustion. Your body starts giving up. You start developing, health issues, whether mental health issues, physical health issues, emotional and well-being related issues. And after some time, you'll observe that your overall well-being is going way low to the level of homeostasis, and that is what is the dangerous aspect of stress. So it is problematic, it is becoming problematic. So if you will look at this, and it's not just to keep a fear and just give you a fearful feeling, it's just to make us aware that stress is really problematic. And if you'll observe, I think none of the organ or system of your body is immune from the negative influence of distress. So it is so much problematic. Repeated exposure to the stress response on our body is proven to lead to long lasting psychological and physical health issues. And you may be surprised to know, or may not be, that small and frequent health issues like getting cough and cold easily, allergic responses, having body ache, headache, these frequent and irregular issues are even can caused by stress. And serious health issues like cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, hypertension, anxiety, and depression, they can be caused by stress. There are certain studies which tells that stress is too much problematic, and it can give you very very serious illnesses as well. It And the another indirect influence of stress is it suppresses the response of immune system. And if your immune system is suppressed, we can understand that what kind of problems we may have. In this COVID-19 period, we have learned a lot about immune system, and stress is one of the biggest destroyer of immune system. So when excessive stress placed on any individual, no matter their occupation, on no matter their what kind of person they are, what kind of things they are doing, when excessive stress placed on any individual, we get to the point of no longer being able to cope, and we are burned like a candle, and that condition is known as burnout. So that is problematic. Now, if this thing is very problematic, what are the reasons why do we stressed out in general? So as a psychologist, I classify that there are three broader regions of stress, and not actually proportionately causing, but they are very important. Each of them are very important. So these three segments of region, first is real life demands. So obviously we are living into 21st century, and this world is becoming very very complex. We have so much and different kinds of demands. Changes are there, things are changing. Rather, there are so many disruptive changes we are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So it creates a lots of demand uh, for us to cope up. I know this online teaching and using different kinds of softwares, working with these online platforms, we were suddenly pushed to teaching community were suddenly pushed to adopt to these changes. And it was really strenuous, it was really pressurizing, and there are lots of research which deal with the kind of mental well-being and emotional well-being influences were there because of sudden push to move towards online teaching with the help of so many softwares. So changes are there, we are receiving disruptive changes. What if these changes are real? Definitely you need to work on developing resources. If your childs are growing up, if there is a big function in your family, they are real life demands. So you have to develop resources to cope up with those. So real life realistic demands are there, then we need to have a problem focused coping, technically we call it. So you know, you have to work for the resource building for that, so that you have enough amount of resource to fight against the audacity of the stress. But what if stress is being caused by two another category factors? First is perception, and in perception, I generally conclude it as it is a mix of apprehension, overestimation, and overgeneralization. So it's our tendency to perceive things, the way we analyze situation, the way we attribute situation, the way we conclude the outcomes of situation. If we are committing certain mistakes at that level, by apprehending a lot, by overestimating or overgeneralizing it, it will lead towards feeling of stress. And in the earlier portion of this, discussion, I said that your body is not going to make any difference between whether it is real stress or it is perceived stress, because the perception of demand, the feeling of demand is here in your mind. So if your mind is concluding that there is a huge demand, your body will start treating it as actual stress. It is there in your life. So if you are misperceiving, misattributing, wrongly analyzing, and concluding about situation. So the common example which I used to discuss with, because most of us are from academic fraternity. So the kind of stress which is there in the mind of students or parents even. Suppose that a student is not scoring well in 10th examination, then what kind of conclusion we are drawing and imparting in the mind of that student that your life is finished, since you haven't scored well in 10th examination, 97, 98, 99 somewhere, so your entire life is finished. It is overestimation. There are lots of examples where people haven't scored really well, dropouts are there, and they are performing well in their life. So this kind of overestimation, overgeneralization, if something has failed, if one or two plans have failed, it doesn't mean that every plan will fail. So this apprehension, overestimation, overgeneralization, we have our anxieties, we have our fears, we have our complexes within, and these anxieties, fears, they work as apprehension. Suppose that I reached at home, and I saw that a doctor is coming out of my house. What will be the first response? Because we have lots of fear, because we have lots of anxieties within. In my office, as soon as I reach my office, and then Pune comes to me and say that VC was looking for you. So it becomes Am I audible?
Am I audible? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This conference will
This
now be
conference will
recorded.
now be recorded.
So what I was discussing
What I
is,
was discussing is,
there are
there are
three
three.
kinds of reasons for feeling stressed. First is related to demands that are real life demands. If there is something which is happening into our life and we are supposed to cope up with that, there will be a need of lots of resources to manage that thing. So some emergencies are happening, we need to manage funds, this is real life demand and you will feel stressed. So it's okay, and then we have to end up with problem focused coping. We have to work for resources, and those resources will make us feel confident to fight against the audacities of life. Second, related to perception, the way we perceive situation, and if we are committing mistake in analyzing situation, we are having misperception and we are blowing situation out of the proportion, then we will feel stressed. So the simple example is apprehension, overestimation, and overgeneralization. The kind of example I was discussing is, a student is not scoring well in 10th examination. The common comment he receives is that your life is finished. So is it real? Not scoring well in 10th examination will translate into failure in the life? No, we have lots of examples where people actually doesn't score well, or dropouts are there and they are performing really well. So the way we perceive situation, the way we generalize situation, a small incident, the way we perceive and give meaning to that incident. So I was discussing that, suppose that I reach to my office and a pune comes to my chamber and asks that vice chancellor is looking for you, and he asked 2 3 times about you. So that apprehension is there. Why vice chancellor was looking for me 2 3 times, that too? So is there any issue? Is there any problem? So these overestimation, apprehensions, overgeneralizations, they are a perceptual issues. The way we perceive situation, the way we analyze situation, the way we conclude situation, the way we give meaning to situation, the way we weight actually options and problems in our life. It is very very important to look towards the way we perceive, the way we analyze. So this may be the another important cause of stress. And I was telling in the earlier portion of this session that your body doesn't bifurcate between whether it is a real stress or it is imagined stress. So even if it is imagined stress or you perceived stress, once that demand is perceived, you will feel stressed. You will feel that no, there is something wrong, and your body will start reacting in the same manner. So this is another thing. And the final category of cause which I perceive as the reason of stress is unnecessary stress. It is our tendency to behave and live life in a different way. The kind of tendencies we have, the first very problematic thing is need versus greed. Need we are living into a demanding world, so demands are there, but how to cope up with that demand? Is it a real demand? Is it real demand, or I have created that demand for me? So if you have a need, you should obviously try to look for resources. But what if it is outcome of your greed? I want a house, perfectly fine. Okay, I should have a house. But what kind of house I should have? Whether I can own a flat, a bungalow, or a villa, and whether I'm looking for a villa. I want to buy a shirt. I can buy a shirt in nearly 1,000 or 1,200 or 1,500. What if I am having aspiration of buying a shirt of 2-3 lakh rupees? What if? So need versus greed, more and more, more and more. One vehicle, two vehicle, three vehicles, one house, two flats, three villas. You know, this much of things, this much of belongings. So there's a popular saying that इंसान की ख्वाहिशों की कोई इम्तहा नहीं, दो गज जमी भी चाहिए दो गज कफन के बाद. So need has a full stop, but greed doesn't have. And in a world where there are lots of options for smaller things, you can keep going, but it's you have to decide a full stop. And if you are not able to decide a full stop in things you want, you will keep increasing demand for yourself, and resources are always limited. Next is relative deprivation. Relative deprivation, it is very, very important. It is again, it's a common and popular saying that we are not suffering because what we have, we are feeling painful because we are more concerned about what others have, and if you are comparing yourself with others, you will feel demand, because they are different, their life is different, their resources have different, they have different resources. So and there's a human tendency, दूसरे की थाली में लड्डू हमेशा बड़ा लगता है. So you feel that others are very happy, they have so many things, I don't have this, you know. So that thing you should be very, very cautious about. Sometimes, you visit somebody's place for a party or for small things, you observe that, oh my god, what a house he has, what a drawing room he has, the uh, the big LED or OLED he was having, I don't have. Sometimes your family member starts pressurizing you, look towards your colleague, he is having this or she is having this, you don't have that thing, I cannot, they are going for vacations, so this relative deprivation, when you start comparing yourself with others, you will end up with creating huge demand for yourself. Third is standard. I should shop from this place, I should own this brand, I should live like this. Where it is written? Nowhere in our service book it is mentioned that I should wear a shirt of this brand or shoes of that brand, or I should come in office with that brand of car. Nowhere it is mentioned. But we have created a standard for ourselves, and to match those standards, we are actually struggling to achieve more and more, and we are creating demand for ourselves, fulfilling expectation of everybody. And again, as a psychologist, I'm telling you, if you are trying to keep everybody happy, you will end up with lot of stress. It is not possible for any person in this world, any person even if you will look towards the scriptures in different religious uh, sects, you will observe that it was not possible for gods of different religions to satisfy everybody. It is not everybody. So we are common being. Don't own that responsibility that I need to satisfy everybody. You cannot. It is a huge demand, and you will keep struggling. Will keep struggling to do that. Okay. And final thing is priority failure. Failure. So if one is not very good in establishing priority, what things should be done first, what things should come next, and at what time I should be finishing this, and at what time I should be finishing next, then definitely you will pile up lots of work and feel stress, because those work will pile up for a particular time period, and there will be huge demand to finish lots of work, and you will feel stressed. So first category may be out of your control, real life demands may be out of your control, but these two, your perceptions and tendencies to feel unnecessary stress, is definitely, to great extent, I won't say 100%, but definitely to great extent, is under our control, and we can work for that. Am I audible? Anybody can respond?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. So stress is there in every aspect of life, whether it is a personal life or professional life or social life or family life, because demands are there, changes are there in different aspects of life. What is becoming more important is work stress. Why? Because it earns livelihood for us. It earns that. So the amount of time we spend, it actually have meaning for the other portions of life as well. Other portions of life as well. So work stress is very important. Now, again, the question is that whether it is a reality or we are creating a big bubble that there is nothing like work stress. So the latest edition of the Workforce Confidence Index, which is released in September 2021, only that one and a half month back, and it was conducted by LinkedIn, the biggest platform we know. It revealed that more than half of India's employed professionals are feeling stressed at work. Feeling stressed at work. So it is the real thing. It's nothing like that. We are talking only, and there is nothing like that. So it is the reality of today's scenario. So pressure at the workplace is unavoidable due to the demands of the contemporary work environment. Lots of technologies are coming, changes are happening. The kind of quality, quantity changes are there in workforce, work, and work environment. They are disrupting the conventional and typical method of working. So lots of demands are there, and we feel whenever there are demand, we feel stress. So work-related stress is the response people may have when presented with demands and pressure that are not matched to their knowledge and abilities and which challenge their abilities to cope. So I was discussing that teachers were stressed. Teachers were stressed because of sudden push to adopt technological things to teach. So we're supposed to start learning different platforms, that too in a very limited period of time, and start performing our work on online. So some may be very comfortable with adopting these technological advancement and kind of changes which are supposed to be done, but some may feel stressed. So and just like normal life, there are eustress and distress at work, we know that. And if you will look towards that, what are the causes of workplace stress, you will come to know that career concern is there, role clarity is there, work shifts are there, occupational demand, lack in participation in decision making, role conflict, lack of social support, lack of group cohesiveness, poor working condition, interpersonal other group conflict. So, and this is a small presentation of workplace stressors. If I'll ask you, each of you will be able to suggest me different ways of workplace stresses, different problems related to workplace stress. So, Quick et al. 2016 actually divided the causes of work-related stress into the four most relevant categories. First is task demand. So, work-related workload or something like that, they are task demand. Second is role demand. If you are not very clear what I am supposed to do and how I am supposed to do. Suppose that you have given a charge of some government initiatives like Smart Village Initiative or Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or something like that, but you are not very clear what to do, what kind of instructions are there, what kind of operations are there, what kind of programs I'm supposed to organize, where to get fund. So if you are not very clear about your role demand. Third is physical demand, that is typical physical infrastructure of working. You don't have sufficient things to perform your job, you don't have resources, then you will feel stress. And the fourth, which I consider is most important in context to workplace stress, is interpersonal demand, and that is personal conflicts, leadership styles. If they are present, they actually become, but for others, you may have escape or you may have a time bound responsibility, but this interpersonal demand becomes the cause of chronic stress. It is there, you have to work with those people regularly and you don't have an escape. In academics, we listen commonly, for next 20-25 years we have to work together, for next 15 years we have to work together. So then it becomes cause of chronic stress. So what happens when you feel work stress? So when work stress becomes chronic, it can end up affecting both your physical and emotional well-being. Work stress has significant health consequences that range from relatively benign, like getting cough and cold, or potentially serious, such as heart disease or metabolic syndrome. So work stress is no less dangerous than stress in any other sphere of your life. And I was discussing that it is becoming more problematic because it has meaning for other aspects of life as well. So the amount of livelihood you earn, the amount of time you spend in terms of 6 to 8 hours at your workplace, somebody may be spending more than that. It actually percolates and seeps inside your another aspects of your life. Workplace पे आप से जब घर आते हैं तो you carry that burden or you carry that happiness. In terms of stress, you carry that burden, and your family also suffers with that. So that, secondary stress, they are also suffering. Now what? Lots of problems are there. Stress is too much problematic, typically distress. What to do? The session was supposed to talk about problems and possibilities. So only problems, whereas the possibilities are there. But before discussing those possibilities, I have a disclaimer to make over here. As a psychologist, again, I'm insisting that there is no rocket science to manage stress. No rocket science. And there is no need of applying rocket science. It's just that there's an analogy. When you start learning any habit, you have a patience, you have faith, you have confidence, you have continuous trying. So you try to learn that playing guitar or painting or singing or bodybuilding, even if you are going to gym or developing your apps or something like that. So you have a confidence and you have a trust that for a particular period of time, if I will practice like this, after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I will be able to see the desired change. So the same analogy is applied. We will be discussing things which can mitigate your stress, but that similar kind of faith, similar kind of trust, similar kind of regularly practicing is required. Now what? The other very important message over here is there will be stress. You cannot say that by learning stress management technique, there will be no stress in my life. It will be there, but you will develop immunity against the negative stressors of life. So Corona was there. Somebody was not suffering because they have stronger immunity, or they have developed immunity against negative influences of Corona. So similarly, by applying stress management techniques with faith, regularity, persistence for a particular period of time, you will be able to develop your immunity against negative influences of stress, and you will be able to perform more and more, and that too with less amount of anxiety and apprehension. So how to go with it? We know that finding a low stress job is hard if it's not possible. In industrial psychology, it is said that you know uh, finding ideal workplace is utopian state of mind. It is not like reality. So ideal workplace is nothing. So a more realistic approach is to adopt effective coping strategies to reduce negative influence of stress at your current job. So we need to find constructive solutions. We need to find ways to fight against the negative influence of stress. How to go with that? If it is work stress, it means that there are two parties: individual, employee, and organization. So organization may be out of your control. You cannot influence, or you're not having capacity to influence the policies, procedure, and decision of organization. Fine. you have you have control. You can use active coping, emotion focused coping, or habituation. We will be discussing certain examples. So there is something which is under your control, and by practicing those small things, nobody were actually, I think, I won't say nobody, lots of people were there who doesn't have faith that tulsi can work, or this black pepper can work, or ginger can work, or something like that. But there is a huge demand. There's a huge demand of home remedies after Corona. Even these things were earlier, but we didn't realize that there are certain small practices which are under my control, but provided that if I apply those healthy things, even hand hygiene, that was a simple thing which were under our control. Under our control. Small habits touching here and there. So They were small things, but those small things, if practiced consciously and regularly, they were having, big influence against the negative influence. So we need to understand that things are under our control. There are certain things. What if we talk specifically about work stress? So we need to look consciously that how I work at my workplace. The way I work at my workplace have lots to say why I am feeling stressed. So whether I'm able to control my distractions, whether I am able to, you know, able to enjoy my work, whether I am trying to do so many things at a particular time and creating disaster out of those things, whether I am able to have disconnect from work, I'm enjoying vacations, whether I'm using my office hours consciously or spending office hours, using and spending, their two terms. So that I'm using my office hours, spending my office hours, 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes with person X, 15 minutes with person Y, and then by the end of the day, I feel that, oh, lots of things are due. Whether I'm having enough sleep, whether I'm actually working or I'm spending, time sitting on computer doing nothing, something like that. Whether I am working with full attention, whether I'm able to understand that I have enough work and I have prepared a plan. So these small things, without disturbing anybody else, without without disturbing anybody else, without asking for much resources, without increasing load for myself, I can I can change things here and there a little, which will definitely won't eliminate stress, but will reduce stress a little and will give me a feeling of ease, that too multiple times. So that is very much possible. How to minimize stress in general? The first thing which everybody is supposed to do is planning. And planning is something which is very, very important. Again, I'm insisting that if one is not planning, you say that I don't plan. I do things just like that on an ad hocism mechanism. So I do things as and when appears. Even then you are planning. And take my words, you are planning to fail. So if you are not planning to do well, you are planning to fail. You are planning to fail. So it's better planning to do well. Prioritize things, do things in that sequence, give attention to your things, plan in beforehand. Give yourself a me time. And now this is becoming again the another aspect of reality. This small device, that is the mobile, it is keeping us connected with the world, including world of work. So even if I'm sleeping, even if I'm on vacation, even if I'm in a family vacation or family function, that device is there with me, and all the time I'm connected with that device. If not call, WhatsApp is there, chat is there, email is there. Either I am receiving email or dropping emails, calling somebody, dropping some messages, replying some WhatsApp. That continuous demand is there. There is no break in between. And chronic stress is all about perception of continuous demand. There is no break, continuous demand. So for the sake of vacation, I'm going on vacation, but I'm working continuously. So give a break, give a break. Even in daytime when I'm having lunch, suppose that there is a half an hour break for me to have lunch. During my lunch time also, either I'm working, having food and working on laptop or something like that, or looking at WhatsApp, doing some messages or replies, or if I'm sitting with some of my colleagues, I'm discussing office politics, office working environment pressures. So that continuity is there. Please feel that break, use that break as a break, not as a pseudo break. So that me time break is there. Take care of yourself. What happens when we feel stressed? The first thing which we do, we start neglecting our health demands. So sleep is poor, diet is poor, hygiene is poor. And the irony is that we have discussed that a body is fighting with maximum possibility. So it requires more and more care. If you are driving a car 10-20 kilometers on a daily basis, your car need less service opportunities or less service demand. But a car which is running 200, 300, 400 kilometers on daily basis, the service demand for that car will be huge because it is getting utilized more. So if our body is functioning with fullest possibility, the demand for care is more, and the reality is that we are caring less. So that is very, very problematic thing. Learn to say no. Where to say yes, where to say no, how to say yes, how to say no, and when to say yes and when to say no. If you are having lots of work, and if one of your colleague comes to you and say that, no, let's go for a cup of tea, and you know that this cup of tea, is saying that it will take 10 minutes, but it will cost around 30 to 45 minutes. The general estimate is there, and you cannot afford 40 to 45 minutes. Say sorry. So we have to understand when to say, where to say, whom to say, how to say no. Saying no is very, very important because you cannot make happy everybody. And this is not your duty even to make everybody happy. Get regular exercise, whatever suits to you, meditation, yoga, exercise, jogging, Zumba, whatever suits to you. The meaning is very simple that your muscles should get enough stretch and you should sweat. A little, but you should sweat. Exercising regularly can help relieve some symptoms of depression and stress and help us maintain our health, and that is very much required. A healthy mind lives in healthy body, and to maintain a healthy body you need to do exercise. Get some hobbies, do some different things. Again, it looks very similar or very simple that I have some hobby, and I learned this thing so many times. What is important about it? And as a psychologist, I'm telling you it is very important. Now why? Hobby should have enough strength to drag you into a different world altogether. When you are doing and enjoying your hobby, you should be doing and enjoying your hobby only. You are into a different world altogether. So that continuity of demand, office, or some other demands is no more there. You are enjoying that, you are doing that, that continuity is no more there. There is a break in that continuity. So if you are suffering from chronic stress, enjoying hobby is the very, very important way to break that continuity of demand. So it is very, very important, enjoying and having some hobby. Be realistic. All of us are running and reaching nowhere. We are in hurry. As soon as I achieve something, I decide some other goal for me, and next, next to next, what to do now. So even I'm not able to enjoy the things which I'm having. I have published a paper. I'm not enjoying that. As soon as one paper got published, another paper, start working for the paper. You can have one day to cherish that thing. You can slow down, you can enjoy. Because this happiness, the amount of happiness, the amount of positive energy is limited. There is no by default stock of happiness or amount of positive energy. We earn this through positive experiences. So if you are not cherishing, living, enjoying those happy moments, that stock is getting consumed to fight against the demands and veracity of your life. And one day you feel that I'm in nil balance, and then you will move towards negative balance. So by enjoying small things, by enjoying moments, by breaking those demands, we are actually saving some positive energy, happiness, and so that you will be able to use that energy. You will be able to use that happiness to fight against the demands. So it is very, very important. Use humor. If you can laugh, definitely you will feel good. If you can smile, it generates happy hormones, and everybody feels happy. Learn to relax, because influencing your psychology is not very easy. It's not very easy. It takes time, it takes regular practice, but influencing your physiology is quite easy. And the important aspect is that your physiology and your psychology is woven together, so they are interdependent. If your psychology is getting influenced, your physiology will be influenced. If your physiology is getting influenced, your psychology will be influenced. So you can target your physiology and it is easy to influence that. So you can practice certain exercises, meditation, yoga, quiet time even, to influence your physiology, settle down your strain. You cannot settle down stress directly, but you can settle down your strain. Strain is the physical tension your body is perceiving. So by working on your physiology, you can indirectly influence your psychology, and you may have a peace or a state of happiness. And for that, for doing that, there are certain ways. So you can practice yoga, meditation. Small exercises are there, like breathing. Sorry, breathing exercises are there. Massage. Sorry, and progressive muscle relaxation is there. So I'll share some links with Dr. Chaudhary. Dr. Chaudhary will be sharing with you guys that small investment in terms of physical relaxation exercises, and it's not more than 40 minutes in a day, and one can spend 40 minutes for himself or herself. So 10 to 15 minutes exercise in the morning, 5 minutes breathing exercise 2 times in a day, and then 15 minutes progressive muscle relaxation or body scan just before going to sleep. So 15 plus 15, 30 minutes, and 5 plus 5, that is 10 minutes, total 40 minutes. Total 40 minutes. And there are lots of research. It is research based. I'm not telling just like that. There are lots of research which tells that if you are doing 15 minutes exercise and practicing some relaxation techniques, and the easy I'm discussing over here is progressive muscle relaxation, practicing just before going to sleep. It has first benefit, that is it increases the possibilities of having a quality sleep, and quality sleep is one very important factor to reduce stress. So progressive muscle relaxation, it relieves strain, it gives you a good feel, and then it increases the possibilities of quality sleep. Deep breathing, it reduces the level of anxiety you have. Deep breathing is proven. It reduces the level of anxiety you have. So I will share a link for deep breathing exercises that takes 5 minutes only, and 15 minutes for progressive muscle relaxation just before going to sleep. So if one is practicing these things, again, you need to practice it for little, for a little longer period of time. So don't expect that. Yes, obviously, breathing exercises and progressive muscle relaxation, you may observe changes on the very first day. If you have that kind of awareness about your sensations and your body changes, you may feel that. But after practicing for a week, you will be able to see changes, definitely. So these are the things which one can feel, one can exercise, one can live with, and through altering the experience your body is having, you can influence the kind of psychological experience you are having, that is pressure, anxiety, apprehension, demands. So you will be able to change that psychology as well. It is easy. So at the end, the final message from my side is what one can do to do things in a better way. Is it possible to manage stress? And there are certain general ways which are applicable in any aspect of life, whether it is your personal life or professional life or something like that. So first is 3D formula. Diet, diet, personal life or professional life or something like that. So first is 3D formula: diet, diet, and nutrition. Acids, vitamins, your body requires certain minerals to perform well. Otherwise, it will get exhausted. and you will feel, negative influences of stress very soon. So have a good diet, whatever is possible, have a good diet. Second is de-addict. Sometimes what happens that since I'm feeling stressed and I don't feel like I can talk to somebody, or I don't have any resource, so I choose an escape, and that is usually tobacco, alcohol, or something else. Believe me, apart from the moral judgment of that, I'm not going into that. It is unhealthy. It is supposed to develop dependency, and soon you will realize that for doing small things you need those things, you use those substances. So it is it is developing dependency, as well as it is influencing your health negatively. That is well documented. So diet, de-addict, and deep sleep. Sleep is very, very important. There are lots of theories which, and the one very prominent theory about sleep is recuperative theory of sleep. So when you are having a quality sleep, the internal healing is going on. So internal healing is going on. Internal healing is very, very important to feel good next morning and to feel that energy to work. So diet, de-addict, and deep sleep. Having some meaningful relationships and connecting to real life people is really, really very, very important. When we have meaningful relationship, it releases oxytocin, and it reduces cortisol. Oxytocin is um, feeling love, feeling cared, feeling supported. And we know that connecting real life people is far more important if you are feeling any disaster in your life. So those 10, 20, or 100 thumbs ups, likes, or faces emojis on your Facebook profile or Insta or Twitter, whether they are actually serving the purpose, or one of your friend is coming and giving you a tight hug, shaking hand, tapping your shoulder and say that don't worry yaar, I'm here, we will walk together, ho jayega, ye waqt bhi nikal jayega. So which is more influential? Definitely real life people. Experiencing things with most of the senses, it works a lot. It works a lot. Talk it out. You should have somebody. It can be your friend, colleague, parent, life partner, brother, sister, cousin, colleague, anybody, teacher, mentor, even your pet, nature. You should have a possibility to talk it out. Whatever frustrations are there, whatever apprehensions are there, you should have a possibility to talk it out. There should be a possibility of venting. Otherwise, suffocation will be there. And in suffocation, you won't be able to think, analyze, and perform well. So there should be a possibility of talk it out, vent it out. We need to think about the problem. We have to develop a problem perspective, where I was discussing that overestimation, apprehension, and overgeneralizations are problematic. So the kind of perspective we have developed towards problem is very, very important. Problem should be perceived in problem perspective, not personal perspective. Okay, somebody has refused your opinion. He has refused one opinion, it's not refused you. So why to pay attention? I was refused today, so you were not refused. One opinion given by you was refused. Nature and sunlight have proven again, we know that sunlight is responsible for production of vitamin D, and vitamin D is very, very important to fight against low mood which you feel. So जो आपको down feel होता है, go and have, go and spend 5 minutes in sunlight if you can. So sunlight is very, very important. When you spend time in contact with nature, it releases endorphin. Endorphin has similar influence when you feel like, oh yes, endorphin. It shares some sort of chemical composition which is similar to morphine. So it is very, very pleasant experience if you are, in connection to nature. Have a liquid hug whenever you are feeling stressed, when you are feeling. So have a liquid, and according to whether you may have warm water hug or cold water hug, you may sip inside, bathtub or something like that. Just feeling running water throughout your body, it gives a deep relaxation. Aromatherapy, there are certain, research tells that there are certain smells like lavender. It is proven to have stress reducing influence. The only sense which is direct and most powerful is aromatherapy. It is, smell is non-mediated sense. It reaches directly to the respective neural structures, so it has strong influence. Next is vitamin C. So you may consume, rather you should try to consume fruits and vegetables which have vitamin C, like citric fruits, oranges or pineapple, or vegetables like broccoli. So vitamin C, it actually reduces cortisol, and cortisol is something which puts you into low mood. So you can listen music, whichever music is soothing for you, whatever is good for you, whatever actually takes you again into a different world altogether. Have a digital distance time. Have a digital distance time. It is very, very important. Now there are two things which is very important. Once you will have digital distance time, you will involve into real life situations or real life people. Second is, these rays which comes out of screen, as laptop or tablets, they have harmful influences on melatonin secretion, and melatonin is very, very important to initiate and enjoy quality sleep. So I'll suggest to you guys to at least stop using tablets, mobiles 1 hour before going to sleep, and stop using these devices in your bedroom, at least over your bed. There should be a clear understanding that my bed is a place to rest and have sleep, including non-presence of those blue rays emitting from the screen. It will increase the possibility of going into deep sleep and having a quality sleep, and definitely it has proven influences. And finally, don't take yourself too much seriously. Practice gratitude and forgiveness. It is very, very important. It is very, very important. It keeps you at a humble pace. When you are at a humble pace, there is lots of possibilities of receiving support, and support is something which is the most important weapon against stress. If you are humble, if you are genuine, if you are working well, if you are fulfilling your responsibility, there is lots of possibility that you will feel less stressed. Even if stress will be there, there are high chances that you will have resources with you. You must have developed immunity against negative influences of stress. So stress won't go away from your life. Stress will be there. It will be around you. It's just that you will be having that immunity, so that those negative things won't influence you much, and you will be able to proceed in a more successful manner, and you will have more occasions to feel happy about personal life, professional life, social life, family life. So that is from my side. Thank you so very much for listening patiently. Feel free to ask if you have any confusion or any query. Thank you. Am I audible?